We will now open it up to this standing room only public comment. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask? If you could just come up here. Microphone can't reach that far.
You did. You got your mother and your wife. Yep.
Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question.
At the forum prior to the primary at Smoky Row, Reg, I thought you spoke so well and intelligently about the need for long-term planning. I would like to have you remind the voters again of what you said at that time. And Mr. Rozenboom, I'd like to hear what you feel about that as well.
Thank you for that, because according to my kids, I never speak intelligently. Yeah, the county, what I've seen right now kind of goes as a when it breaks, fix it. And that is generally the most expensive way to get things done. We need to set up a 1, 3, 5, and 10-year plan and prioritize all the things that we need to get done, from roads, infrastructure. There's many different items that the county works on. It's just kind of a fix it as it goes, and it's not working. And when you're always playing catch up, you're gonna spend more money. It's gonna take longer to get done, and it's just the least efficient way to get things done. And the more efficiently we can get things done, the better it's going to be as far as a cost and just for everyone in the county.
This is kind of stealing my thunder for the closing comments, in a way. One thing I have mentioned a number of times since I've been running for supervisor is the need for long-range planning with respect to roads. Obviously that applies to other matters as well, but with roads, yes, I think there are some matters that need to be addressed and are best addressed with a long-range plan. So I'll elaborate on that a bit more maybe at the end.
Do we have any other questions from the public? Looks like we have one over here. Now, as Reg said earlier, that both of you guys have a lot of the same views tonight. So what exactly makes you the better candidate for the county supervisor position?
I'm not going to say I'm a better candidate. I think what makes me different than the other candidates right now is, I did not grow up here my whole life. I chose to live here, and I saw what a wonderful place this was and decided this would be the best place to raise my family. And I have the attitude, I think, with a lot of the people, a lot of the supervisors right now is, if it's not broke, don't fix it, and that's the way we've always done it. That is not my attitude. Just because that's the way you've always done it doesn't mean that's the right way to do it. It may, but you need to look at other options, see what else is out there. If we kept with that's the way they've always done it, we'd still be riding horses, which is not always a bad thing, but so it's just my attitude towards the things that need to get done. I'm also the only veteran running for office. I've spent 10 years in the Army, 4 years active duty. I spent 10 months in Saudi Arabia during Desert Storm. I've got an insurance license and a securities license, so I understand some of the business aspects the county needs to deal with. I'm the local area chairman for the employer support of the Guard and Reserve, so the Department of Defense has trained me in some labor issues, so I have a little experience dealing with that. So it's not so much, I'm not going to say I'm better, because I don't know if I say anything bad about Ken or Greg, even though he's not here. But I just have a different attitude.
Yeah, you phrase that question that makes most of us feel uncomfortable, but I will point to my experience. I mentioned 30 years in ag business. That was in sales and management. In sales, you're dealing with customers. I've been on all sides of customer relationships, and that brings with it some experience that would dovetail rather well with supervisors. I mentioned listening skills and problem-solving skills some time ago. So my experience is, and then my experience also in those years, I traveled Mahaska County roads. I hate to think how many pickups I've worn out on Mahaska County roads. I think I know virtually all the roads in the county and all the bridges, half the potholes, and so I'm very familiar with the county from a physical perspective.
We will go ahead to closing comments now. We'll give the candidates 90 seconds for closing comments.
Okay, I'd just like to remind everybody to get out and vote next week. And I have, like I just said, what makes me different is the attitude I bring into it. I've already been to many of the city council meetings, been to 6 out of the 10. 3 out of the 4 towns I wasn't able to make city council meetings. I did go knock on the doors, talk to as many people as I can in town, so I'm trying to open up that communication. I've been out to the county shop to talk to the employees out there, the county annex in town by the courthouse, and talk to a lot of the ladies that work there, because you get a different perspective when you talk to the people on the ground doing the work. It's one thing I learned in the Army is the generals would come around and they'd ask the captain and the sergeant major what's going on, and then they'd go talk to the private to find out what's going on. If you just talk to the people in charge, you don't get the same perspective as you do the people doing the day-to-day work. So you have to be able to talk to everyone, listen to everyone. I think there's a lack of communication right now, not just between the county and the city, but between the county and the employees. And that's what I've heard from the employees, and that's something we definitely need to work on, because if the employees aren't happy, they can make it hard on everybody. So I just like to thank everybody for coming tonight, and remember to vote next Tuesday.
There's 5 things I want to mention. See if we can do it in 90 seconds and see if I can remember all 5. I agree with Reg. I thank you, and I thank Oski News for sponsoring this, and I certainly would appreciate the support of Mahaska County residents. 5 things I wanted to mention. We talked about roads. I think a long-range planning vision is necessary for that, and I have to mention the Southeast Connector. I think it's critical that we do something to route a lot of the agricultural heavy truck traffic around Oskaloosa that's heading from the southeast part of Oskaloosa, the industrial park, to Eddyville. Number 2, we've talked about the 2080 agreements, cooperation between the county and other smaller towns, and certainly with Oskaloosa, is important to me. Economic development, and that's kind of a general term. I think that's where Highway 63 is critical and a good starting point. And I would try to be very active in any opportunity we have to bring economic development to the area. Number 4 is advocacy. I don't like unfunded mandates from the state. I would intend to be in the ear, and if necessary, in the face of legislators and the governor when we get property tax increases because they haven't managed their finances properly. And number 5, I want to mention I'm conservative. I'm conservative. I respect the right of government to collect tax money, to provide the necessary functions to residents, but I also respect the right of the taxpayer to hang on to his own money as much as possible. And I think one has to have the discernment to balance those 2 competing things. So I'd appreciate your vote on November 2. Thank you.
thank you to everyone here for coming to our forum. Thank you to our candidates for participating tonight. Thank you to Mayor Creutzfeldt and Mayor Tebekis for moderating. As a reminder, the polls are open next Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you have a question on where your voting location is, please visit mahaskacounty.org and click on the Auditor tab. As a reminder also, the Auditor's Office will be open Saturday for early voting and voter registration. And as a final reminder, OSKNews.org will not endorse or actively campaign for any of our candidates here tonight. Thank you for coming, and don't forget to vote next Tuesday.